Mr. Hardy Abubakar Sirika, the former Minister of Aviation to President Muhammadu Buhari, look at his mansion he is building. This man is the man in the image of Nigerian Air. Nigerian Air, they started 8 years ago, 2015. That is the time they started the issue of Nigerian Air. And at the end, they told us before Buhari will leave office that they're going to launch Nigerian Air. Later, they now go and borrow Ethiopian airline to position in the place of Nigerian Air. And they think they can deceive the whole Nigerians. Abubakar Sirika, what you have done is what Nigerians will never forgive. There is no reasonable Nigeria that will forgive you. You humiliated us in the international community that a nation like a Nigeria can never have their own airline. This is a humiliation in the highest order. You embezzled the money. I don't know how many of you embezzled the money. And you go on and start building your mansion. And you are scoring for free. And this is the administration that Buhari said that he is going to fight corruption. That he is going to do this, he is going to do that. Why have you people concluded to cripple Nigeria? And you think that the younger generations will keep quiet and leave you people to score free? And we have EFCC, we have ICPC. If EFCC did not arrest this man to account for how many billions they spend on Air Nigeria, number one, Air Nigeria's website is not working. Air Nigeria don't have a single air. Air Nigeria is not flying everybody. So I don't just understand this kind of forgery, fraud going on in Nigeria. Mr. Abubakar Sirika, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing your name well. It is time for you to come and explain yourself. Now, in the House of Representatives, this man came when they called him to come and explain what is going on about the Nigerian Air. This man came and said that yes, that they actually chartered Ethiopian airline. So he was even bold, we chartered Ethiopian airline upon how many billions they spent on it. Nigeria is a scam. And these people are making it to look so. But you know what? We are the last people to give up that a new Nigeria is not possible. It is possible. A new Nigeria is possible. So all these people doing all these things, they are not going to score free. They will never score free. But let us see how the end is going to be. So watch the very moment this man was called to explain what he is doing in the House of Rep Committee. So they called him, they questioned him. It might interest you to watch this video to the end and see how this man was talking without plan. As in, he was talking as if everything they do that they just plan to embezzle Nigerians' money. Just take your time and listen to this long video to the end.
All the way from Ethiopia to come here and for Mobile. It doesn't matter the size of the aircraft. You already have your application for AOC, the kind of equipment you want.
Yes.
Yeah. So even if it is a citation that is painted somewhere that gives the impression that this is how, with the unveiling of the this thing that you did in Pamro, that this is how it's going to look at. That will have made sense.
Yes. Sure.
And that money will have been plowed back to accelerate the issue of this AOC application after getting the ATM. So to be honest with you, it is necessary, politically necessary, but reasonably unnecessary to have used whatever amount. I'm not interested in the amount now. I'm not interested because I don't want to generate any other controversy. But as far as we are concerned, it was necessary, but it wasn't reasonably necessary to have done what was done.
Yes, boldly the House of Representatives condemned it and called it a fraud. But there is an interesting thing that this man did. He now came with one of the Ethiopian airline boss that came to that committee to defend him. And I don't really know the meeting they had before this meeting that made this man to defend him boldly. So you will also listen to this Ethiopian, what he told the House of Reps.
Vice Chair, Vice Chair, can I just regarding Nigeria Air as it pertains to the technical aspects of it? As you know, this airline was launched, in, so to speak, in Farnborough, the logo in 2018. Several things have transpired since then, but that has nothing to do with me. I was invited last February to, my mandate is to secure an air operating certificate for the airline. Not necessarily to operate the airline, but to secure a license to fly. And that is entirely my responsibility. But I would like to address your question first before I move on. The aircraft that came in and left was a legitimate charter flight. Any one of us here, if we have a destination wedding in Senegal, we can charter an aircraft. You don't need to have a license to do that. You just charter an aircraft. And the aircraft, you pay for it, it'll be brought here, take your passengers, and off you go. And that is what we did. But in this case, it was to unveil, you see, ever since 2018, all you'd ever seen about Nigeria Air aircraft were pictures, drawings, not the real aircraft. And we felt it was time to show what the real aircraft would look like, and also to let shareholders, you see, we have institutional investors. They're not in aviation, but they're putting their money in here for, say, 10, 15 years and to exit maybe at a premium. So they need to see what the actual aircraft will look like. So we brought it in here to show them what the aircraft will look like. Then the social media dimension came into it, and I'll address them point by point. One, it's Ethiopian registered. Why is it Ethiopian registered? Well, for a start, to operate aircraft in Nigeria, they must be Nigerian registered. 5 November, we call it. Okay? That aircraft was not 5 November registered because it was a charter flight. And it came in with just a few days clearance and off it went. For us to get this license, which is my mandate, I don't want to use technical terms, we must, amongst other things, have 3 aircraft before this NCA will give us a license. And those 3 aircraft must be Nigerian registered aircraft. There are 5 phases, 5 steps that one goes through to get this license. 5. We've gone from the first one to the second one. But the problem is that when you change what we call post holders, you're a post holder, for example. All of you are post holders on the committee. Post holders in aviation is a technical term for director of maintenance, chief pilot, all those type of things. When you change them and replace them completely, you have to go back to phase 1 to interview them. They have to be interviewed to be compliant and acceptable to the authorities, to the Civil Aviation Authority. But having gone back to phase 1 doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. That is the correct and normal process. So when this aircraft came in on a charter flight, everybody said, we have launched Nigeria Air. And I thought this was very interesting because there are learned people in the aviation industry who could have countered that when social media came out, but they chose not to. But that's fine, I'm here to explain. It was just a charter flight, and then there were other stories that the passengers on the aircraft going back to Ethiopia were paid passengers. We sold tickets to them. For your information, those passengers were staff of Ethiopian Airlines that we brought here just to show them, because the aircraft is their aircraft. It's registered in their aircraft's name. It's their aircraft. So we brought them here, and at the end of the unveiling, they went back with their aircraft. Nobody sold any tickets to anybody. Then there was the issue of launching the airline. You see, they brought the aircraft. There's no ticket counter in Lagos. There's no ticket counter in Enugu, and so on. Yeah, of course now. We haven't got a license yet to operate. If you had asked me the question, I could, not you, I mean, if the social media had asked me the question, I would have said, we haven't got to that stage yet. We're doing the proper process of one after the other to get to this point where we get the license. We've done the first part, which is to get an air transport license. Again, on social media, some people have been pushing the air transport license, which is one of 2 licenses, and saying, see, NCA gave them license to fly. They didn't do anything. They got a license. That is an air transport license. which doesn't permit you to carry operations on commercial services. So it's nothing to do with it. It's just one of several licenses. Like if you want to do your driving test, you have to do a written exam first, then you do the driving exam. So we did the written exam and got a certificate. Now we're going to do the driving test. They say, they gave them license. Let us do the driving test first now. So that issue of the aircraft was totally misconstrued by everybody who was just trying to be mischievous. We are not at the point of operating the airline yet, at all. In terms of the business model, sir, you asked a question about the business plan and the shareholding. Well, again, I am not the right person to address that because that is part of the ICRC BPP process. So I am not there to design a business case. What I do is I meet a business case and I use that to get the license, the correct type of license we need to operate. So everything that has been done to get this airline going on a technical front has been done entirely above board and with the cognizance of the Civil Aviation Authority and all agencies combined, by the way. They said, social media said, they've given them international airport in Lagos to use as a private terminal. How? How are we going to use an international terminal? Because it's designated international. It's not designated for domestic operations. Then they said, okay, they've given them the general aviation. General aviation is the other smaller places. Okay, they've given them that one. How? Do you know how much space there is there? So why would they give it to us? Where would the others go? Then they said, okay, they've given them MM2. MM2 is a private terminal. How, you want us to throw everybody out because we're a national airline? No. We are in the same boat as everybody else. You see, the reason, and I've been in this business for 40 years, without the character of a national airline, you lose a lot. National pride, 1. Employment, number 2. The ability of a national airline to influence Assembly, Senate, and say, look, we need infrastructure. We need to build a new terminal. We need to do this, we need to do that. That's where you come in. But you won't necessarily listen to private airlines. But when the national airline comes, you will listen to us because we're trying to make a point to develop the country. We need to create a hub. You cannot succeed having an international terminal here and a local terminal there because it doesn't connect. The passengers' luggage and so on and so forth. You've all flown abroad. You just walk out of the aircraft into the next gate for your domestic flight in the same building. We have to get to that stage. And a national airline will then create the best thing of all, which is competition. Competition is the only way we're going to move our sector forward. Because when you have a player who is above, at a level that is aspirational, guess what happens to everybody else? They live up to it because they want to get a part of that market as well. And therefore, the whole industry moves forward, not just the national airline. Because everybody else wants, just like we have one particular airline now, I don't want to mention the name, everybody says I'm flying with them because they're reliable and so on. So the point is, we're desperate for tiny things. Reliability. You've never heard anybody say catering, meals, or you have to wear a suit to go on the flight. All they've said is it goes on time and it's safe. Then it's got the market. But when you have a national airline that gives you in-flight entertainment, you can do Wi-Fi, you can do things in the aircraft that you can't ordinarily do. The other airlines will then improve the quality of their aircraft, bring in better aircraft, and who benefits? The passenger. So all this stigmatization of the airline is undue. I hear what the chairman is saying, and a lot of what you said is I'm hearing for the first time. But that's because I'm in a little hole just doing the licensing for the aircraft, for the airline, and working with the Civil Aviation Authority. But it's something for us to be proud of. And like the Vice Chairman said, the Nigeria Air will happen. Well, even if you didn't say it, I'm saying it. Nigeria Air will happen because the people of Nigeria need it. I'll give you another example. When you go to, let's just use Heathrow as an example, or let's say Dubai, and you get out of the aircraft, and you're walking to your connecting flight, on your Emirates flight, and you walk past the window and you see a Nigeria Air aircraft. You're not on Nigeria, you didn't buy a ticket. But the first thing that's going to hit you is pride. Nothing else. Pride. My people are here. And that's what we've got to get our people to. This is what we've got to get the airline to. to that stage of national pride. And it's, again, only a national airline can do it. So I think with that, I will hand over to the people who are better placed. Again, there's a million questions you can ask me about Nigeria Air, and I will answer them. I can't put them all forward now because I don't know the questions you have. But in terms of these specific questions of business model, share capital, I have to hand over to the more competent people to address that. Thank you, Chairman.
Before you go,
yes, sir.
Where are we now on the issue of Air Nigeria?
This one.
Where are we? What phase are we on?
We are in phase one because the original set of post holders, their contract was not renewed at the end of the year, so we had to get new post holders. So to get those new post holders with the NCA approved, interviewed, and qualified, to make sure they're qualified, that takes you back to phase one. But it doesn't mean that all the work you have done for phase two, phase three, phase four is irrelevant. But you go back to phase one, and then once that has been, it's called a PASI, a pre-application statement of intent. So that's the intent with these new people, and then you move forward from there. Yes. Sorry.
Just to follow up. If, for example, the ministry and perhaps you who is the interim chair of that airline have made it abundantly clear that the way you are making it here, I'm sure those controversies will not.
Yes.
Maybe the controversy will be, yes, it's reasonable, necessary, but was it reasonably necessary? You know, you have to take taxpayers' money and charter an aircraft all the way from Ethiopia to come here and for conveying. It doesn't matter the size of the aircraft. You already have your application for AOC, the kind of equipment you want.
Yes.
Yeah. So even if it is a citation that is painted somewhere that gives the impression that this is how, with the unveiling of the this thing that you did in Pamplona, that this is how it's going to look at. First, you will have made sense.
Yes. Sure.
And that money will have been plowed back to accelerate the issue of this AOC application after getting the ATM. So to be honest with you, it is necessary, politically necessary, but reasonably unnecessary to have used whatever amount. I'm not interested in the amount now. I'm not interested because I don't want to generate any other controversy. But as far as we are concerned, it was necessary, but it wasn't reasonably necessary to have done what was done. If the purpose is just to show Nigerians how the aircraft is going to. We have had the pictures on social media when it was unveiled on the family. But that created the impression for Nigerians that the aircrafts have started arriving. More so when either deliberately or for whatever reason, the minister made it abundantly clear that one has come and the remaining 4 are coming. Let me tell you, if he was there, even today in the tea room, how they were virtually like insulting me, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So, yes, they say, in fact, I was the one who went to collect the aircraft. So you see, the controversies don't go into what is unnecessary. And that's why the whole country is, is tense, saying that, look, in fact, some people, let me tell you, those who chose to use the mildest language decided to say that it was a 419. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you what the facts are. And you cannot claim not to know.
No, of course.
Because you know what's happening. For God's sake, we have taken the position, we know where we are now, we are on phase 1, and I'm sure all the manuals are in with the NCA. Phase 2, phase 3 is not going to be a big deal once we pass phase 1.
Right.
Phase 4, we have the aircraft hopefully. Phase 5 will be demonstration flight and all that, and then concluding part for the operation. Nigerians will equally be interested in knowing how long is this going to take, and then what hope do we have that by this timeline it will start growing. That is what will vary all the controversy. You understand?
Yes,
that is what will vary all the controversy. He was there today in the tea room when another senator was accusing me that we said we are going to manufacture aircraft and that we brought aircraft and I said, well, are you not there? She was there. So you see, we too get worried. Allow us to drink some nice water and stay with our wife and be happy. You know, not reminding what people will be telling us. So controversies that are avoidable, why do you have to go into them? Why?
Vice Chair, Vice Chair, can I just...
Very good working relationship. But I must say that we couldn't have had that without the Honorable Minister. So it's by extension, we've actually had very good working relationship with the Minister. So if there are any issues to solve, maybe after clarification, the issues will be laid to rest. Let me start by saying that the issues that you have mentioned, Nigerian Air Project, the issue of the unions, threat of demolition, the issue of trap funds, and the procurement of firefighting equipment, these are things that can be clarified. But before the technical people can throw more light on this, but permit me to say a few words. I came into the aviation ministry sometime in September last year, and the first meeting we had with you people was on Nigerian Air Project. I do remember that the minister took time to explain most of the misinformation about the Nigerian Air Project. And at the end of the meeting, we were all happy and we left here satisfied. But let me also say that Nigerian Air Project is a project believed by all Nigerians. It's part of the aviation roadmap that was approved by Mr. President in 2016. Despite the delays, it took off in 2021 following due process. I still recall that it's a PPP arrangement where the ICRC, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, played a very big role. And there was an RFP, request for proposal. There was also an evaluation. And at the end of the day, there was a preferred bidder. It was after the preferred bidder that you started hearing issues of we are not being carried along, which the minister clearly explained. But I'll call on the experts to throw more light on that. But I also want to say that it's not a fluke, it's real. The Nigeria Air Project is real. And we are doing that because most Nigerians know 85% of the flights are delayed. As at 2022, more than 85% are delayed. The second thing we also know is that these flights are delayed because of low capacity. Most of the aircrafts we have, most of the airlines we have in Nigeria don't have the requisite capacity to deliver quality service. So we must have a national carrier that should be able to do that. Again, having a national carrier will also help us even in the issue of trapped funds, because we are looking at domestic, regional, and international flights. And why we're having so much trapped funds is because people come here, give us service, they can't repatriate their dollars or their funds, but we are not reciprocating. So there is imbalance of trade. And the only way we can do that is if we have this national carrier. Again, the process of national carrier is defined in our laws. We couldn't have gone ahead without following the laws. And that's why it took time from 2021 when the process started, and we are still on it before the court process said we should stop negotiations until the vacation of the court case, and which we are obeying. However, the interim MD of the Nigerian Air is here. He will throw more light on that. Again, the issue of the unions. When I took over as Permanent Secretary of Aviation, I did call the unions to a meeting, and we discussed. They shouldn't have gone on that strike. It was improper, and they shouldn't. What were their issues? Demolition. Yes, there were certain buildings that were meant to be demolished. That's an executive decision, and we agreed. If these buildings are not okay, they have to go. And in going, the work of every employer is to provide an alternative accommodation for the workers. And we had agreed that that has to be done before the demolition can take place. So going to suffer Nigerians because of something pertaining to the workplace was uncalled for. They talked about consequential adjustment. I did promise them that government was working on it. And they went on strike. The next week, the consequential adjustment was done. So they were suffering the people for nothing. What they told me is that they believe by making noise, that's the only way government can listen to them. And I keep on telling them that that is wrong. You don't do unionism like that. You do social dialogue, you engage before you can even go to disrupt services. So in terms of the union, we've been talking with them and we say what they did was not right. And I still stand by that up till now. Now, with the issue of airline trap funds is the economy. If we are not generating, it's actually very hard. With the national carrier, if it comes to be, it's going to balance the trade, and we won't be having this. But again, we are doing our work because we can only write to central bank, let them see how they can make amends and be able to pay this. And let me also put it on notice that before this current administration, before the last administration came into being, there were issues of trapped funds, which they paid in the first few months of the administration. And they put something in place to ensure that this does not accumulate. But the economy caused problems. We had COVID, and every economy is trying to come up after the COVID. Again, the fire trucks. I'm surprised we are saying that the fire trucks was done without anybody knowing. All contracts go through a particular process. There must be BPP, Bureau for Public Procurement, no objection. It went to Federal Executive Council, it was approved, and the process of executing the contract was taken into consideration. Again, it was actually a contract that deals with an offshore service, where you need to open a letter of credit, and the contract is made up of 3 components. One is the fire truck itself, the other one is training on the use of those fire trucks, and the third one is the spare parts. And these things were followed accordingly. And if you look at the contract agreement, there were things that were supposed to be done. So it's not as if people didn't know about it. What people were complaining of, they said the price was too much. But then these are people who don't know about the details of the contract. It's a customized fire truck, fire and rescue truck, not only fire truck. And that was what we saw. But as we go ahead, people will be able to provide more clarification on that. As regards board appointments, as a civil servant, what I have to say is the board appointments were approved by Mr. President. And for us, that's a directive, and we have to do that accordingly. Thank you, ma'am.
Before we continue, can I get about this this afternoon? I thought the Air Nigeria fleet are here. Good concept for us to have the national carrier. There's no doubt about it that it's not a good thing. The community of nations do not have a national carrier. Some of the issues and questions on the lips of Nigerians cannot be properly answered by those of you seated here. The man who would have been here is he has finished his service. Okay, so for me, I do not see any of you speaking from a point of authority. You know, you are just staff taking instructions. You know, so I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think I should just let you know that there are a lot of burden you are carrying that you need to come out clean out of it. You know, the concept is good that we have a national carrier, but the impression that you created by the show you did is being misinterpreted in so many ways. You know, and it's not good for a business outfit that is just coming up. You know, once people start doubting the integrity of a business or the integrity of an institution from the beginning, it's a problem. Okay, so I think you have a lot of work to do. You know, a lot has been said about the structure of ownership, the shareholders. You know, the way it has been structured. You know, and we are aware that some people have gone to court, and I think we must get to understand too. Nigerians are getting more civilized by the day. Their questions will be asked, and they will want you to provide answers and solutions to those issues. So good that we should have a national carrier, but of course Nigerians will equally want to see a national carrier that they are proud of, and they could see that is commencing on a very solid and clean slate. As it is today, you are not starting well. You have image problem from day one. I must let you know. Good concept, but image problem now. So you must go back to the drawing board and take a look at how you can take care of all these challenges and all these controversies that from the day one is already manifesting in the business. So for me, it's a good concept, but you have great challenges now of allowing Nigeria to be proud and happy. Because see, when you start operation, it takes one's interest to fly a particular airline. You know, when people have doubts about any business outfit, then you have a problem even getting it being acceptable to the people. You have a problem of selling it to people. Because when you came in, I thought that was the beginning of the show. You know, I was very happy. I was even asking the chairman. I said, "You have invited me to be part of this unveiling." I was not invited. You know, and as I was coming in today, I didn't know the detail, but I was asking Madam Chairman, I hope we know the schedule of how you're going to be operating. But I told you I stay at the airport here. I didn't know that what you did was we should come and see, you know. But being as that is me, I want to know that in Nigeria, this kind of strategy doesn't really work. Nigerians are not people who want to see cosmetics. Nigerians want to see solid things. They want to celebrate it, you know. So in marketing, strategies that you adopt in marketing a product in a particular society may not be applicable in other society. In fact, in some society, the color determines the patronage. You paint some item red, some people will not buy. When it's blue, some people rush for it. So you must, first and foremost, you are not starting well because you should have taken time to study the Nigerian market, the Nigerian society itself, and get to understand, do we appreciate all these gimmicks? Nigeria, all these paparazzi, Nigeria don't. They want to see actions from the beginning, okay? But if that is not happening, you discourage an ab initio. From the beginning, you have already given doubt as to the integrity of the business you want to do, which is not good for you, it's not good for the airline. So for me, it's a good concept, but you need to go and wash clean.
And Captain, if I may just
procure the air operational certificate and the license to fly. Nigerians are eager. They want Nigeria air to fly all over the world. Now, you are placed home of Nigerians. I want to ask you this fundamental question. What is the estimated time that we will have Nigeria air on ground for me to fly to London, fly to America?
I can't let them.
Or locally. Exactly. He said Nigeria is rich. We have money. Why are we misapplying the money for us to be disgraced over the world? We are representatives for the people. We want to clear the air today that Nigeria here is yet to come. So the social media people keep quiet. This is the MD talking to the Senate Committee on Aviation to clear all misunderstandings, misconceptions. But a message will go back to them. When are we going to see this Nigerian air to fly? The processes you have itemized it. I know President Ahmed Bola Tinubu will also be happy to ensure that during his reign, in the next 6 months, Nigeria air will fly. We are interested to know where Nigeria air fly. Thank you.
There were some assumptions that made us come here. One of which is the Nigerian Air Project. Is it a fluke? The answer is no. The second one is, are we following the right processes? The answer is yes. And that's what Captain Olumide tried to clarify. However, we have also the regulatory authority here. We can also speak to the fact that we have adhered. We are trying to adhere to the processes. Until we finish the processes, we can't fly. So, Captain Musa, you can...
You cannot legally take that position because we are already following the process. If you meet the process, it's going to give you...
That's what I'm saying. Until we finish the process, he can talk by himself.
You know what I was about to say? When Shakespeare said, accuse me to that tongue that told me so. So it has done my better part of my brilliant and nobody. The penta will start in the double sense. They keep the word of promise to our ears and yet break it to our home. This is
Distinguished, sir. Distinguished, sir.
yes.
The point is that we are accused of not following due process. He is the regulator. He can tell us whether we are doing so or not. That's the essence of his being here.
Exactly.
Yes.
You put as a delay follow.
Yes.
You are not to mark your own examination. You are a student. Man is the lecturer to mark your paper. Marking scheme is with him.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. When they finish the exam, I'll give them their passport.
Exactly. Very good.
Is there any other head of agency, especially UCAT, that has been accused of bringing in an aircraft, dismantling it, and saying we are now manufacturing an aircraft?
My chairman, it gives me pleasure to highlight the facts. People have been saying manufacture. It's not manufacture, it's assembly.
And we pray that you will do better than you have done now. Thank you very much. Can someone move for...
move for adjournment.
Synodai. This committee's meeting is adjourned. Synodai. Thank you very much for coming.
Captain Nuhu.
Captain Nuhu. That is the wahala of aviation. He doesn't give the necessary.
It's more difficult to assemble an airplane. So when the minister visited Hungary and saw the factory, he saw how easy it was to assemble a small airplane for training. He looked at NCAT as one of the biggest institutions in this area of West Africa. He decided to make it a hub whereby small airplanes like that one could be assembled and be sold to the region. So he decided to bring that idea. And the contract between NCAT and Magnus is to assemble 2 airplanes and then 1 simulator completely assembled. Because we wanted to launch and commission our projects in NCAT, we continued to push them to shift those parts so that we could start assembling. Instead, they flew in 1 airplane. They brought one and promised to bring the other one in a container. But the minister called them. We had a Zoom meeting at midnight because the CEO of Magnus was in China. So we tried to balance the time. Nigerians are about to go to sleep and China are about to wake up. So we had a meeting with them. They could not bring in or ship in those parts on time. So we decided to unveil, just like the Nigeria Air, just unveil the Magnus with the view that we will start assembly as soon as the contract is completed. They have 1 year. The contract started in February, so we still have time. Right now they are working on creating the 1 part of the airplane and then the simulator to be here in a month or 2. And this aircraft that they already brought is either they sell it out or they ferry it back to their country. We did not disassemble to assemble. It is intact as it came in. So the project is still ongoing, not completed, and it is going on very well. And so we start, yes sir.
Have you seen one program when you were in secondary school? Mind your language.
I do.
Okay. So let us continue to mind our language.
Man our
I mean, I talk too much.
exactly.
I talk too much.
Unveiling.
Yes.
So we can tell somebody that he should go and collect his school fees from his English teacher if he doesn't know the difference between unveiling and then launching.
Assembled and manufacture.
And manufacture. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Nigerians are very happy with negative hypes.
Yeah.
And you know, they're putting all over the wall. And so my distinguished chairman and members, this is my presentation from NCAP on Magnus. Thank
Is
you.
there any other head of agency that has anything to say? Well, again, let me thank you for coming. And let me say, the fact that there was a communication
Gap.
and if that subsists, we'll keep misunderstanding each other. This committee has been a very benevolent committee. You never can tell what will happen in the next assembly. And that is the reason why you must ensure that there is no communication gap, that you carry the National Assembly along in all that you do, so that when people vilify you, the National Assembly can clarify all the gray areas. And so,
just like this opportunity, very good opportunity for all of you.
Oh,
You've
oh.
never had this opportunity before.
Captain Olumide, I'm sure we're just breaking you in. Yeah, welcome. This is just a mild one. You'll go in for the fireworks much later. And
we are victims of bad political leadership. We are the victims of bad system of government. And for this reason, you must not remain silent. I must speak up and you must speak up. When you remain neutral to every bad political system, it helps the oppressor, not the victims who are the masses like me and you. And for that reason, we share news content, we talk realities out of trending and political issues on this channel. My name is Okochapi Marcel, and this is my channel. Please kindly help me to share my videos, subscribe to this channel, and always come by for new videos.